Most people find loose change, or maybe a lost earring when they move into a new apartment. I found a digital graveyard. I'm a 24-year-old freelance editor, and 3 months ago, I moved into a too good to be true studio in the Pacific Northwest. It was cheap, it was historic, and the landlord was in a massive hurry to get the lease signed. While I was tucking my desk cables behind a loose baseboard, I felt something plastic. An old 64-gigabyte SD card covered in grime. I thought I'd found someone's vacation photos, but when I plugged it into my laptop, I didn't see the beach. I saw myself, or rather, I saw the exact view of my bed from inside the air vent. And the dates on the files? They didn't start years ago. They started last Tuesday. My heart didn't just drop, it froze. I spent the next 4 hours scrolling through 400 photos and dozens of short silent video clips. The first 100 photos were of a woman named Elena. She was the previous tenant. Based on the photos, she lived a normal life until you notice the angles. Every shot was taken from a perspective of concealment, from the gap in the closet door, from behind the bathroom mirror, from a hole drilled in the ceiling. Then, the files changed. There was a folder titled Transition. It contained photos of me signing the lease, photos of my moving truck, photos of me sleeping on my first night here. The person who took these wasn't just a voyeur. They were a permanent resident of this building. And I realized that the air vent I saw in the footage was currently 5 feet to my left. I didn't go to the police immediately. I know. Why didn't you leave? But I had no money, no family nearby, and I needed to know who this was. I went to Reddit's r/Reddit Bureau of Investigation and posted 3 blurred screenshots of Elena. Within 6 hours, a user messaged me. That's Elena Varga. She was reported missing 6 months ago. The police ruled it a runaway case because her car was found at a Greyhound station, but she left her dog behind. Elena would never leave her dog. That's when the rabbit hole opened. I started looking at the metadata of the files. The GPS tags on the photos weren't just in the apartment. They were moving. There were photos taken from inside the walls of the entire building. I realized this wasn't just my apartment. This was a vein through the whole complex. I went to the basement and found a maintenance door that was supposed to lead to the boiler. It was locked from the inside. I waited until 3 a.m. I had a crowbar and my phone recording. I went back to that loose baseboard where I found the card. I pulled it back further, and the wood didn't just come off. It swung open like a tiny hidden door. Behind my wall wasn't insulation. It was a crawl space about 3 feet wide. It smelled like stale copper and old laundry. I crawled in, my heart hammering against my ribs so hard I thought it would break. I found a nest, a sleeping bag, dozens of empty water bottles, and a tablet hooked up to a battery pack. The tablet was live streaming. I saw 4 different views: my bedroom, the hallway, the laundry room, and the landlord's office. And then I heard it, a rhythmic thump, thump, thump from the floorboards above me. Someone was crawling toward my position. I didn't wait to see who it was. I scrambled out, grabbed my laptop, and ran to my car. I didn't stop driving until I hit a 24-hour diner 10 miles away. The police raid took place at 6 a.m. They didn't find a stalker. They found the landlord's missing brother, a man who had been declared legally dead 5 years ago. He had been living in the void spaces of that historic building for years, subsisting on food he stole from tenants and watching them through a network of high-tech pinhole cameras. But here's the controversial part. The part that keeps me up at night. When they searched his nest, they found Elena's phone, but they never found Elena. The landlord was arrested for aiding and abetting, but he maintains he had no idea his brother was alive. The building has been condemned, but I still get notifications on my cloud storage. Every few weeks, a new photo appears. It's always the same thing, a photo of me, taken from a distance, at the diner I go to every morning. The police say it's a glitch in the sync. I think he's still out there, and I think he's looking for his SD card. After the landlord was arrested, I thought the nightmare was over. I moved 3 towns away, changed my phone number, and took a job at a quiet library. But the glitch in my cloud storage, the photos of me at the diner, meant that the brother, the ghost of the building, was still watching. I decided to do what the police wouldn't. I went back to the SD card. I realized I had only looked at the photos. I hadn't looked at the system files. Hidden in a partitioned folder titled Sys Logs, I found a list of MAC addresses, the unique digital fingerprints for every device that had ever connected to the hidden tablet in the crawlspace. There were dozens of them, but one stood out. It was a high-end laptop that had synced to the tablet every Friday at 2 p.m. for the last 3 years. I traced the MAC address through a contact I made on r/hackers. The device wasn't registered to the landlord, and it wasn't registered to his dead brother. It was registered to Detective Miller, the lead investigator on Elena Varga's missing person case. My blood went cold. The ghost in the walls wasn't working alone. He was a supplier. He wasn't just watching us for his own sick pleasure. He was recording us and selling the footage to a private server. And the man in charge of finding Elena was the one who had been buying her for years. I knew if I went to the police, Miller would know before I even walked through the door. I needed undeniable proof. I remembered the nest in the crawlspace. When I fled that night, I saw a second SD card slot on the side of the tablet. If Miller was the buyer, he would have had to physically swap cards or hard drives eventually. I waited for a Friday. 2 p.m. I drove back to my old apartment complex, which was now boarded up with no trespassing signs. I hid in the bushes across the street. At exactly 2:10 p.m., a black, unmarked sedan pulled up. Detective Miller got out. He didn't look like a cop. He looked like a man running an errand. He used a master key, entered the basement, and emerged 10 minutes later, tucking something small into his breast pocket. I followed him. Not to a police station, but to a remote storage facility on the edge of town. I watched from a distance as he entered a unit and stayed there for an hour. When he left, I didn't follow him. I waited for him to disappear. Then I approached the unit. It was a high-security lock, but Miller had been sloppy. He hadn't fully turned the dial. Inside wasn't a storage unit. It was a soundproofed room. There was a desk, a high-end server rack, and a small, locked wooden box. I used my crowbar, the same one from the crawlspace, and pried it open. Inside wasn't money. It was Elena's dog tags and a stack of SD cards, each labeled with a name. My name was on the top card. I grabbed the cards and ran. As I was leaving the facility, I saw Miller's sedan turning back into the lot. He had forgotten something. He saw me. Our eyes locked for a split second before I floored it, my tires screaming on the asphalt. I didn't go to the local cops. I drove straight to the FBI field office in Seattle. The fallout was massive. Miller wasn't just a rogue cop. He was part of a premium voyeurism ring that targeted low-income tenants in historic buildings across the state. They used ghost residents, people like the landlord's brother, to maintain the equipment. Miller is currently serving life without parole. The landlord's brother? He disappeared before the FBI could find him. But here is the ending that the news didn't report. The ending that keeps me moving to a new city every 6 months. Among the cards I took from that storage unit, there was one labeled Archive. It contained a video from the night I found the first SD card. In the video, I'm sitting at my desk, looking at the laptop. Behind me, the hidden door in the baseboard opens just a crack. A hand reaches out, holding a second SD card, the one I eventually found. He wanted me to find it. He wanted me to lead him to Miller. I wasn't just a victim. I was the cleanup crew he used to take out his partner when the money got tight. I'm free now, legally speaking, but every time I walk into a room, I don't look at the furniture. I look at the baseboards. I look at the vents, because I know that somewhere out there, the ghost is still looking for a new place to stay, and he still has my spare key. What would you have done if you saw that archive video? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you in my next story.